All right, broski, it's T-Man, and I want to review a video by High Intensity Health. Meat eaters live longer. Well, there you go, man. See, sometimes this guy comes out with some good information. So meat eaters live longer. Study finds. Let's watch and review this video.
Hey friends, welcome back. Just waiting for the system to let me know that we are live. Happy Friday to all of you, and we are live. So we're going to review this recently published study that was sent to me by the author after talking about the Harvard analysis that we reviewed last week. So the title of the paper that we're going to dive into today, and of course get to your live questions. So at any point, if you're enjoying this content, please hit that like button and let me know if you have any nutrition specific or metabolic health specific questions in the chat. The point of the chat is to connect, to talk, to touch base every week, and we're going to dive into it. The title of the paper of this analysis that included analysis from 175 different countries throughout the world correlating total meat intake with lifespan. And it turns out there is a linear and positively associated correlation with animal consumption and lifespan. And I think this is just another...
See, because that's your natural, normal diet out in nature. Because it's not filled with toxins and sugar, drugs, your slave diet. A nasty, weird mush diet with sawdust in it. Yes.
Thing to consider. If you do well on a vegan or vegetarian diet, that's fine for you, but I think it is important to look at all aspects of this.
No human can do well on a fake artificial diet. It is not sustainable. It is not sustainable. That's why society is disintegrating. Yes.
To optimize life and health span and strength and vitality. So the title of the paper we're going to dive into today is Total Meat Intake is Associated with Life Expectancy. This is after 5 years of age. A cross-sectional data analysis of 175 contemporary populations. Okay, so again, any questions are fair game as long as they're related to nutrition, metabolic health, exercise. If you're enjoying the content, hit that like button. Let me know where you're from. I'm going to pop out the chat. And we're going to dive into it. How is everyone? Did you have a good week? All right. We have quite a few folks on with us now, which is fantastic. Okay, so let's dive into this analysis. You can see the full text PDF on your screen, hopefully right now. And I'll maximize this. Okay, so I'll change this out. And we are good to go. Okay, so let's have a fun little discussion here. All right. Okay, so again, the scientist who was the lead author on this study actually emailed this PDF and was interested in diving into this analysis. Essentially, the background and perspective of the study, as you can see on the screen here. The association between a plant-based diet, vegetarianism, and extended lifespan is increasingly criticized since it may be based on the lack of representative data and insufficient removal of confounders such as lifestyle, including exercise and other lifestyle factors. So the aim of the study was to examine the association between meat intake and life expectancy at a population level based on ecological data published by the United Nations agencies. So the methods of the study was a population-specific data was collected from 175 different countries. They used scatter plots, bivariate, partial correlation, and linear regression models. They did a lot of statistical analysis here. And what they found is worldwide, there was a correlation between meat intake and life expectancy. And
very good.
Yeah, I think this is really
I think this is really interesting too and good. Yes, life expectancy at birth is the measure synthetically described mortality in a population. It is estimated that 20 to 30% of human life expectancy is determined by genetic factors. Oh, and 70 to 80% is determined by environmental factors. God damn, that's very interesting. Environmental factors, 70 to 80%. 80% is determined by environmental factors. Listen to what they say here. Very little has to do with human life expectancy and determined by genetic factors. What determines it is 70, 80% is determined by environmental factors. So what you're putting in your mouth and what you're doing, the stress and stressing your body, inflammation. A stress is an inflammatory response. Your body triggers something. There's a trigger called inflammatory response. Now, how this inflammatory response comes out? Well, chronic lifting, eating the wrong food, toxic foods, exerting yourself, stressing yourself, doing very specific things, exerting yourself, running down the street. I don't know, highway robbery, getting angry, eating the wrong foods again, toxicity, toxins, being exposed to toxins, working your body to death, labor jobs, 24 hours, 6 hours a day, whatever, every day. All these kinds of things, worrying about things, payments, bills, this, that, whatever. The news can also cause a response, which will increase cortisol because fear, the world is ending, and all this kind of weird stuff. There's a war and blah, blah, blah. A bunch of things. You're not doing well in school, your grades, this, that. Yeah. So, yeah, you raise cortisol, you have inflammatory responses. Your cells, they don't like these things. They call them flight or fight. They run away from that. So this is a very interesting study, I would say, for sure, yeah. Life expectancy at 5 years of age is similarly influenced by genetic factors, definitely, while it excludes neonatal, infant, and early childhood mortality that depends heavily on environmental factors, especially hygiene and infection controls. This percentage, however, have not received a general scientific consensus. They need more work on it. What is clear is the genetic environment interplay that informs human health, nutrition, offers the means to improve health and well-being, and acts as a significant predictive factor of health aging. So it appears as one of the major determinants of life expectancy. I could say two things definitely is important is stress. You don't want any stress or stressing your body in any way or causing inflammatory responses. Anything chronic will age you. Anything that you're doing chronically, which is causing an inflammatory response and stress, is going to age you. And food that you're not supposed to be eating, naughty, is going to age the fuck out of you like you can't even imagine, faster than the last time. Yes, that's definitely one for sure. Exclusive studies regarding the role of conventional meat-containing diets and vegetarian diets, including meat, in consumption, understood as an intake of part of animal bodies, has constituted a proportion of the hominin diet. It has been argued that consumption of meat is a high-quality component of the hominin diet, allowed increases in the body and brain sizes, while at the same time permitting reduction of the size of gastronomical tract, reducing and typically human increased brain weight, body weight ratios. Yeah, it's associated with increased brain weight and body weight ratios, like muscular, strong bone, dense weight. I'm not talking about herbivore diet, fake weight. You're carrying a whole bunch of glycogen, water, and triglyceride and crap from herbivore diet. That's practically like obesity. But you're never obese on a meat diet. It's impossible. Yeah, so that's what it's associated with. And the more you eat a vegan fake diet and these fruits and vegetables and man-made stuff, whatever, your brain size is decreasing. Your muscle size could decrease too. It's a possibility. I don't know. Like, it's hard to tell all these things, what they're talking about, your body to weight ratio. I can't tell you exactly, man. It's complicated. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, definitely interesting study.
Interesting study. You can download this full text PDF if you would like. So I'll make that available. But yeah, any questions are for game friends. Again, if you're coming on live, thank you for being here. Happy Friday. We have folks here from New Jersey, folks from the UK. We have someone here from Maryland. We have Second Street Marvel in the house. Second Street Marvel is usually the first person to comment on where do we want to start? This is just background and perspective, talking about how there is so much controversy over what diet is considered healthy, right? Is it a vegan diet, a vegetarian diet, an omnivorous diet? And if you look at all of the data...
What do you mean? The diet that is the most healthiest for you is the diet that is your diet. A diet that is not deficient in any nutrients. That is the diet. That is the diet. And what is that diet? A carnivore diet. It is not a vegan, weird, plant toxic diet. That is deficient. That is deficient and toxic and a drug. Okay? And neither of these vegan diets and whatever else, paleo and all these other weird diets, those are not our natural diets in nature. Fuck man, what do you mean? What is the right diet? It's really simple. What would you be doing in nature if you were out there right now? See what I mean? What would you be eating?
On the Mediterranean diet,
You're not going to be cooking. There's no pots and pans. There's no cooking out there, bro. There isn't anything. These man-made fruits and vegetables and plants, they don't exist out there. Maybe there's some weird apples or whatever, Jiki apples or something, like the kind that the reindeer eat. The really sour, ugly apple things. You wouldn't stop and eat a plant out there. Trust me. You're going to eat like every other person. You're going to eat a really raw, actually, meat diet out there. Yes, blood and organs and whatever. And like some of the settlers, when they were coming and they would just, stop off, they ate all the dodo birds in Florida. There were a bunch of dodo birds. They said it was tough meat, but what did they do? They ate meat. People don't cook, man. They don't cook, bro. This cooking stuff is the modern world. It's to keep you busy, make cookbooks and stuff and everything. It's to create fake artificial businesses, phony businesses, to take people's slave money. Get it? Slave jobs, slave money, slave cookbooks, slave this, that. It's all fake. It's artificial. It's all fabricated because man thinks that they could do better than nature, and they can't.
countries around the Mediterranean region, Italy, Greece, Croatia, things like that. These countries, they fish. People in these parts of the world eat lamb, eat red meat. Yes, they do eat olives and whole grains and vegetables. And
This guy acts like he's so in touch with nature. He's like, there's no nature out there. This is real. I live in the real world. I live in man's world. This is, yeah. There's so much debate over what diet we should eat. What do you mean? Every animal out there knows what diet they're supposed to eat in nature. Oh, because animals live in nature. That's why they know. And we don't. We've been kidnapped and enslaved and put in the man's world called cities. This place called cities, a zoo called cities where they can control us. Oh, that's why. That's why we're so dumb. We don't know what we eat because they fed us all these weird foods, and now we don't know what we're supposed to eat. What?
things like that. But there's been a lot of data from the Seventh-day Adventist analysis finding that perhaps meat consumption.
Do not trust any fucking religious people. They're all satanic, all these religions. They're all fabricated by man. They don't exist in nature. Garbage. It's to control you and do some weird thing to you. Brainwash the shit out of you.
Is not correlated with life expectancy, but these studies have been heavily criticized, as the authors say, and it's important to recognize that several smaller-sized studies out of Australia and the UK did not find that eating...
Because religion doesn't want you to eat meat because they know that you'll live healthy and long. They want to shorten your lifespan and destroy you and control you. That's the whole point. Destroy your sex drive, your hormones, your body, make you decrepit. Why would they want to make you healthy and strong? Think about that for a second.
Meat is negatively correlated with life.
What advantage do they have there by doing that?
Expectancy. And so if we go back and just rewind the clock, as these scientists talk about in this analysis, pre-agriculture, this was before the advent of the plow, the modern plow, and industrial farming and so forth, between 9 and 11,000 years ago, humans...
Holy shit, here we go. Before the plow, before the pot, before the cooking, before we started cooking and doing weird things because we have nothing better to do but waste our time. Yeah, man, we ate everything raw. Get it? We killed it and we ate it. We didn't cook, we didn't do anything. It's a waste of time.
Would hunt and gather. Okay, so consuming animal products.
This guy sounds as if like we would hunt and gather. Like, duh, like, no, we never fucking did that. Like, holy shit, what the fuck did we do, bro?
as well as possibly insects and bugs and the sort, but also probably berries, tubers, and things like that, because we could not grow adequate, vegetable matter or grains or corn.
We couldn't grow adequate vegetable grains. Why the fuck would we grow any of that shit for? That we were brainwashed. We were forced into making these things for business purposes, for trade and money and all that, because we were seeking to enslave people. People are born with instincts to survive, so they want to be on top of the food chain. Everybody wants to be on top. Get it? Nobody wants to be on the bottom. That's why. It's a business.
Or soy, which, by the way, make up most of the calorie content that people consume today. And so that's the problem, is we're consuming a lot of...
In other words, humans started seeking status. That's why you get these people, they say, I'm poor. They're not poor. They're seeking status. That's their problem. Nobody's poor. They're just seeking status. They're telling you, I don't have status.
Monocrops that are heavily sprayed with pesticides and herbicides and heavily processed, which is why we're seeing rampant disease in our world.
I would definitely conclude that spraying all these weird vegetables and fruits and whatever the people eating out there, of course, yeah, that would act upon it for sure, making us sick, stressing your body.
Here's the analysis if you want to dive into this. Data was collected for all these different 175 different countries. You can dive into the appendix if you want to read a little bit more about that. And they did analysis on the food supply, how much flesh is consumed, fish consumption, red meat consumption, etc. And essentially what they found is if we go down to the images, we all like images and charts and diagrams. They help tell the story. Okay, so let me just zoom out here. What we have is this analysis here, this cross-sectional association between meat intake and life expectancy at birth. And you look at all the different 175 countries. And as you can see here, as meat consumption increases, childhood mortality actually goes down, which is quite interesting. So I think that is important, especially parents to be. I think it is probably there's a risk of micronutrient deficiencies trying to go to full-term pregnancy and feed your newborn a vegan vegetarian diet. And as you look here at life expectancy, you look on the x-axis and you look at life expectancy. Of course, there are outliers and things, but you can see this strong association with increased life expectancy with increasing meat consumption. And so I think, again, this is not a randomized clinical trial. We don't have the direction of causality, but it's essentially an epidemiological type study analysis. But you do see a strong correlation here between increasing lifespan and the probability of reaching 80 years of age with increasing meat consumption. Okay. Now, if you look here in the African region, in the Americas, this association also holds true for Europe and the Mediterranean region. Interestingly, though, this does not hold up in Southeast Asia, which I think is quite interesting. And so
Southeast Asia still eats a huge they're poor. They eat a huge slave diet down there. That's why.
I would like to actually have this author on my podcast and the analysis on my podcast to dive into this at different details. But you can see the Pearson correlation and much more. But what I want to do is go down to the discussion. Okay, I want to talk a little bit more about this. Again, we have folks here from LA. We have someone here from Germantown, Tennessee. Thank you for being here. We also have folks from War Acres, Oklahoma. Never heard of War Acres, but thank you again for being here. All right. So there is a comment here that said that meat is highly addictive and we're not meant to consume. We have body types and so forth. Yeah, so...
Meat is highly addictive, not meant to consume? What? We're not herbivores, man. We don't eat grass. Herbivores do. That's why they're massive and big. They can convert the cellulose into muscles. Yes.
Look, if you have problems eating fish and eggs and protein sorts, and you thrive on a vegan or vegetarian diet, hats off to you. I'm just, the messenger here, just sharing a peer-reviewed study by Science.
Okay.
Analytical inadequacies, our statistical analysis indicate a significant role that meat plays in influencing variation of survival and mortality. Again, these are not my words. These are just the investigators are putting language to their findings. Moreover, they say meat has many advantages over food of plant origin in containing complete protein with all essential amino acids. It is rich in vitamins, particularly vitamin B12 and essential minerals. It has a significant role not only for maintenance of health and development and proper growth, but also an important evolutionary role in ancestral hominins for approximately 2.6 million years.
Yeah,
Benefits.
that is the thing I've been thinking about for quite a while. If you stop eating your natural diet, what happens to evolution? Think about it. We were evolving. We were eating our natural diet. At some point, our brains shrank and our bodies shrank. And exactly when we started eating grains, especially grains, the moment we started to introduce grains, and I'd say even these plants and everything else, they contributed to it, our brains shrank and our bodies shrank. So on an evolutionary scale, where are we going? I can't tell you. I just know that people's health is getting worse and worse, and we're becoming infertile. So on an evolutionary scale, are we evolving to become better and bigger, better, stronger, and faster and smarter? Or are we becoming smaller, less intelligent, more frail and shorter lived, and a bunch of other things, and slower and not better? This is what I mean. We're not becoming better. We're becoming smaller, worse, not as smart, everything. It's getting worse. It seems to be getting worse statistically, I've been noticing. So I don't know. You tell me what you think about that. But I think we're evolving backward. We're not evolving forward. Most things in the world usually moves forward, but it seems as if we're moving backward now, which is even weird. And men are becoming women, and I don't know what the hell's going on. They're transgender and this and that. It seems like, what's going on here exactly? I don't know what's going on in the world, but it seems like we're unevolving. We're not evolving properly because we've abandoned our proper diet, and that's the main ticket, or the main thing that evolves us as a species, as a race, is dependent on what we eat. And if we abandon that which is natural for unnatural means, we're going to devolve. Yeah, man, this is serious. It's pretty serious. Actually, I went into this in depth before. I read a lot of stuff in NCBI. Bro, you have no idea how many things I read in NCBI reports. I've never plastered them all on my community section. In the past, on my old channel, I was putting a lot up, as much as, as I thought was possible. But I had many that I didn't, because I'm so busy reading things, and I love to read information more than storybooks. But I'm telling you, I read so many things. We are devolving. I could tell you that. It's ridiculous. It's crazy the way the human race is going right now, and the way it's going. I don't know, man. Maybe they're saying Italy hasn't had births in 3 months. Maybe they're gonna go extinct. Who the hell knows? I can't really tell you, bro. I'm just observing. I'm just an observer. I observe things meticulously. When something doesn't work for me, I abandon it right away and I go away from it. Right away. I try things that people are doing. I know that they're somewhat they're unnatural, but I'll give them a shot and say, okay, let's see. Am I going to get healthy? Maybe this is healthy. I'll try this. This is healthy. I don't know. They say it's healthy. I'll try it. But when I find out it's not healthy, I abandon it right away. And then I look for evidence to find out what was the cause of this that made me sick. Then I found out oxalates and a bunch of weird things out there. So that's why I abandoned that kind of eating. I've always eaten a carnivore diet. I felt I was devolving when I started eating it. I started getting weak. I was paralyzed. I was sick. It made me really bad. I think, most of the decades I've been a meat eater. Even when I left my family, they were always feeding me shit. Slave diet too. Too much oxalates and stuff. It was very bad for me. But later, when I went on my own, I just tried to eat as much meat as I could. I don't know, and I still wasn't sure about what the fuck to eat. But I went away here and there. I constantly eat meat. Meat was easier to eat, fast, quick. It just was better for me. I just tried to always eat as much meat as I could. But I've eaten some plants and some fruits, but I never really liked them that much. But it wasn't until the last decade now that I've been eating plant foods since I moved back to my city. I started eating plant foods again, which is kind of odd and weird, I found. And I just kept eating man-made foods, weird foods and stuff constantly. I don't know. It's just strange to me. But like I said, it's not your natural diet. And then the last couple of years, when I ramped it up, that really finished me off. And that told me this stuff is fake. Got to get away from it. Carnivore diet is the best diet in the world. The rawer, the better.
Eating meat include better physical growth and development, optimal breastfeeding of neonates and offspring growth, human adaptation to meat eating, and mechanisms to digest and metabolize meat have been supported by studies of human dietary evolution. This may be reflected in the importance of meat eating for humans' lifespan. Okay, now again, a study of more than 218,000 adults from over 15 countries around the world suggests that consuming unprocessed meat regularly can reduce the risk of early death and can increase human longevity. So, but we do have, they go on to say, recent epidemiological literature highlights that increasing meat consumption, especially in processed forms, may have adverse health effects, including cancer, cardiovascular disease, obesity, and diabetes. However, there has been no clinical trial evidence to consolidate the putative negative effects of processed meat consumption for human health. The aforementioned epidemiological literature is not reflected in human healthy food guidelines published by government authorities for public health, etc. Okay, so they go on and talk about some of the reasons as to why there's mixed data and mixed perception about meat and the like. But what I want to do again here is just share with you the main finding, and that is illustrated on your screen right here, okay? And so this is the association with countries that have higher meat intakes generally have greater life expectancy and reduced childhood mortality under the age of 5. And again, the analysis that we are diving into today is actually right here.
That's pretty interesting. I like this study, man. You see that? Yeah. There's not many carnivore diet studies out there. I've read some, but there's just not a lot out there because it's positive. It's positive, man. I'm telling you.
Titled Total Meat Intake is Associated with Life Expectancy, a cross-sectional data analysis from 175 contemporary populations. Okay, so what I would like to do now is just get to your live questions, see if anything comes up for you. Any questions, any comments, any perspective. I value differences of nutrition and physical degeneration. That is a phenomenal book. Cynthia, thank you for that recommendation. Kimberly says, she says hello. She is from North Texas. All right. Okay, so Deborah says, I'm 72 years old, but most say I look 20 years younger. Hats off to you. I believe it is due to my carnivore diet.
I don't know, man. Maybe yes, maybe no. You've already got a bunch of cellular damage and you don't know how to reverse it. Actually, I know how to reverse myogenic decline and these senescent cells, the acquisition of senescent cells. That I definitely understand and know. How long does it take to do that? Doesn't say. Nobody knows. It's hard to say. Do people like doing that to try to get rid of that? Doing this specific training to get rid of that? Not particularly. They don't like things that make them uncomfortable. That's why they can't reverse aging. They're just waiting for the next pill to pop out and then rush and buy it off the shelf. Watch it fly off the shelf.
I live in Oklahoma. As long as I'm an ethically vegan, that animals will live substantially longer. Okay. Almost 6 years ago, mostly keto carnivore, no diabetes yet. Good for you, Mark. Okay.
Before you head out here, head to Ford Service, where Ford trained technicians know just what you need to get your...
A lot of different perspectives on today's live. Again, thank you all for different diets on with a neutral framework and see how those work for you. It may not be a genetically transferred disease such as hypertension, for example, but if your grandparents were exposed to certain persistent organic pollutants or ate a lot of junk food, we know that the epigenome is malleable. So our parents' nutrition, your nutrition if you're pregnant, does impact your children's genetic expression. So that's really important to recognize. All right.
Yeah.
I'm Pancaking says high quality and high quantity of ghee and other fats, lentils, fermented products, soup, seaweed, and large variation of vegetables might explain Asia. Yeah, so what we're referring to here is the interesting association with Asia. And Asia was the only outlier in all these different countries looking at total meat intake and life expectancy. You look at Africa, you look at the Americas, you look at the Eastern Mediterranean, you look at Europe, and then for some reason Southeast Asia, there appears to be a negative correlation. That's the only out.
Joe Frazier made a video on it. Yeah, he talks about that. Yeah, poorest nation, and they're short. They're short and they're poor. They eat a real slave diet.
Layer there, which I think is quite interesting, as you alluded to. So that is fascinating. Okay. So let me know what you think in the comments, friend.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say there, man. Tell me what you think about that. Like, subscribe, support the channel. Meat eaters live longer. So there you go. There's a study. It proves, right? International Journal of General Medicines. Yeah, my friend, there you go. So, all these vegans asking for some proof and all that. Well, there's a proof. There's a study, right? There's a study. Doesn't say anything about vegan diet, really. They just say that. They just they mention a bit some stuff there, but then they mention what about what is in meat and what it does. These were their findings. There you go. They never lied. That's your natural diet. See you in the next one. Ciao, my friends.